Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you see me? If you see me looking this way, I'm looking, trying to get what's happening on YouTube. I hope you've had a good day, and we've spent some time waiting for people to join and just welcoming you. So I think we'll go straight into it. What are you anticipating? And for those who are new here, welcome. If this is the first class you're attending, yeah, welcome. Yeah, I'm just logging in on this other device to make sure. Let me know how you're feeling, what you want to learn, or what you think you'll be learning. I think that's a good place to start. What you think you'll be learning today. Let me know. What do you think you're going to be learning? What are you anticipating? I think that's another question. What are you anticipating? I'm just logging in on YouTube here so you know, I can see what's happening in real time. What are you anticipating? I'm excited to be with you here. Some of the conversations we're going to have here may be a bit uncomfortable, but we must do what we need to do. Can you hear me? Can you hear me very well? Um, TTT team, just give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me. You're expecting 3 shifts. Good. You're waiting anxiously. Okay. Okay. What will empower you? Global teacher. We're going to move beyond being global to commanding influence. Many people want global status, but you need a status that commands influence. How to make a shift in your mind. Okay. 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 I think we can start. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome if this is your first time with us. If you're a regular joiner, we do this quite often. And if you haven't joined our Telegram group, you're missing out a lot because that's where I teach you, and that not just myself, the team as well, teaches you daily, you know. There's something you must learn every day. So if you registered and you didn't join the Telegram group, you're missing out a lot. We're not there to spam you. It's very serious, and we're committed to your professional development. See, one of our commitments is that African educators must rise. You must rise as a people. You must rise in the kind and quality of education you give to your learners. You must be able to compete globally. Okay? So let's get straight into it. Let me know when and if you can see my screen. I will be sharing my screen. Can you see my screen? Can you see? Let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Give me a thumbs up, TTT team, if you can see my screen. Can you? Okay. Yes, you can. Okay. I want you to just read what is on my screen. Read what is on my screen silently if you want to, or you can just voice it out. By 2030, millions of teachers will still have jobs, but many of them will no longer have value. Many teachers will no longer have value. And I want you to think on this statement from the beginning of this class to the end of it. Teachers will still have jobs, but value is going to change. Value will change hands. That is why if you haven't read the book on 60 things every educator must know in 2026. You need to grab it. It's on the Telegram group as well. It's free. We're not asking you for any. It's free. Just go and read it. Many teachers will no longer have value. Okay. Okay. So we'll go straight into the class. 3 shifts every teacher must make before 2030. We're still in 2026. There are a lot of things that have to change. A lot. A lot. Is no more business as usual. It's no more, oh, after all, I'm going to school, I'm paying my bills. No, that's not it. Things have to change. Things have to change. Okay? You've not met me before. I'm Dr. Nkachi Onwudike Jumbo. You can call me Dr. Kachi. That's, if that's easier for you to pronounce. I'm invested in the African education system, and that work focuses a lot on African teachers or key stakeholders in the African education system. So not just teachers, school owners, schools, government, anyone who is invested, who is part of raising learners, were invested in working with you, including parents, including parents. Okay, let's get straight into it. Now look at my screen. Every civilization is simply yesterday's classrooms made visible. Every civilization. Every civilization is yesterday's classroom made visible. Every civilization. What do I mean? That a nation's future is already sitting in your classroom today. Whether you're teaching year 1 students, whether you're teaching reception students, 3-year-olds, babies, a nation's future, Africa's future, is already sitting in your classroom. It's no more, oh, children, we are the leaders of tomorrow. They are sitting in your classroom already. And so schools are not responsible for producing graduates. They are producing the behavior or the future behavior of a nation. Schools are producing the future behavior of a nation. And if you're a parent on this call, if you're a school owner, if you're a government official, this should really tug at your heart. Schools are responsible for producing the future of a nation. Gone are the days, oh, my child has graduated and is a big deal, you're calling big parties. What kind of person, what kind of human being have you produced? Okay. Now, what becomes of a teacher who refuses to evolve? What becomes of a teacher? If you see me looking this way, I'm trying to look into YouTube. What becomes of a teacher who never evolves? I want you to think. And I'm not asking you this question to frighten you. I'm asking it because many professional development programs do not ask this question. Sometimes they pretend it does not exist. And I'm not here to pretend tonight. We don't pretend here. Okay? What becomes of a teacher who never evolves? A teacher who says, oh, I don't know how to navigate Microsoft Word, Google Docs. These are like the basics, basic digital literacy. What becomes of a teacher, of a school who never evolves? What becomes of a school that never evolves? Give it to me in the comment section. We do interactive here, very interactive. What becomes of a school or a teacher who never evolves? If you keep on saying, after all, I've been teaching chemistry for 20 years, and so I know Ababio in and out. But there's something coming. You're like Nokia. You become irrelevant. You become obsolete. There was a time if you did not have Nokia 3310, you hadn't even started life. Brick phones. Yeah? What becomes of a teacher or a school who never evolves? I want you to give it to me in the chats. Left behind? Any more? Bonus or value? I don't understand what that means. You lose your value. You lose your value. Okay. So There are a lot of things that you will give me in the comment section, and I will just keep. How do you join the Telegram group? If you registered, please put the link for this class so that you can, and we have you on our mailing list as well. Okay. Now I want to say something a lot of people have never heard. Many people keep on complaining about payment. It's good to be paid well, don't get me wrong. But one of the reasons you're not being paid well is because you are underpositioned. That's one. Another thing is that you are not underpaid. Some of you are not underpaid. Some of you have refused to understand the value that you carry. And you need to think about your value in terms of infrastructure. And we'll go straight into it. You need to think of your value in terms of infrastructure. Okay? Now, people keep on thinking that teachers build careers. What do teachers do? What do schools do? They build futures. Careers are only a consequence of teaching. Careers are only just one of the consequences of teaching. Are you following me? So let's not misunderstand things. You're not just helping people build their careers, you're building the future of people, you're building the future of a nation. And so, yes, your students may get good jobs, but that is only one consequence of teaching. Now, let's look at this. We've been confusing schooling and education a lot. So you find a 3-year-old is going to school. Schooling is focused on producing graduates. Why, if we start looking at trying to dissect it, why do we have a lot of graduates who can't think critically? Some people cannot even spell properly, but I'm not going to break that table this evening. So let's focus on the difference between schooling and education. Schooling produces graduates. Education should produce builders, people who can build things. And I'm not talking about physical buildings. I'm talking about intellectual infrastructure. I'm talking about knowledge systems. That's what education should produce. So if you're obsessing about the number of graduates you've produced, then I think you need to reduce that. Schooling measures attendance. So who came to school? And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that schooling is bad, but I'm saying that there has to be a shift. Education should develop judgment in children or in learners, because a child should not go through a school for 6 years and not have a strong sense of judgment. The third thing is schooling will test memory, so exams. And at the beginning of the call, we're asking you how many people have started exams. Yeah. So yes, those things are good, but don't obsess over those things. Education must shape the identity of the people who pass through a school. The fourth thing is that schooling would reward compliance. So do this. Sit here. Raise your hand. Hands on your shoulder. All of those things. And if you've seen a video I've put, I said, don't get tired of students asking you the question, why? That a child or a student, says to you, why are we doing this? Do not think of it as rebellion. It is a new form of intelligence. So education would reward curiosity. Now, another thing is that schooling ends at graduation and people are happy. You've graduated. And you see people like, after this thing, I'm not doing any other thing. Education never ends, it's lifelong. And you're in a lifelong profession. So I want us to start rethinking rethinking what we know or what we think about education. Schooling and education are not the same thing. Many people pass through a school but are never educated. And it comes back to something, the quality of the teachers. Many people have children. You're happy to send them to school, but your children are not being educated. It's a sad reality. Okay? So, are you still with me? Now, who invented school? I'm not talking about education now. I'm saying who invented school. When I was in secondary school, we had bells. when it's time to eat. I went to a boarding school, so they ring the bell, you come. Who invented school? People grouping children by age, compliance. Who invented school? Standardized content. If it's not done like this, it is not right. Uniformity. You forget that when children or students have different traits and characters and all of that, those things are, they add up to the intelligence levels in your school. Time-based progression. If you have not moved from this point to this point, you are not in this class. You shouldn't be here. Some of these things, you know, were handed over to us. Are you following me? Some of these things were handed over to us. And my question is this: why are we still optimizing learners for factories that no longer exist? Many of these things happened in factories. Go and read up on it. I'll be putting some of those things for you to go and read in the Telegram group. Why are we doing this? Why are we still doing this? Yes, Rockefeller. Yes, all those things, all these people. I'm going to be putting some resources. Go and read them so that you start rethinking what you're doing as a teacher. You start rethinking what you're doing as a school owner. The current education system or architecture was a design decision. The current educational architecture that we practice was a design decision, not a natural law. And that's why we should question some things. And one thing I believe is that what was designed can be redesigned. People group people. I've seen where they even group very advanced learners and they separate them from the people who are not doing well. So you can have primary 1A, primary 1B, primary 1C. And as you continue to go down, it shows in levels of intelligence, grouping. And then we start forming our biases. Are you following? So one of the things I want to spell out tonight is that teachers need a new civilization. They need a new operating system. Let me ask you a few questions. Why do nations rise? Why do you think nations rise? I won't read everything on my screen, but I'll just ask you a few questions. Why do you think nations rise? Give me the answer. Why do nations rise? Even the nations that you're admiring, why do you think they are rising? Give it to me. Why do you think nations rise? Give me in the comment section. Let's do it quickly. Unless you want to stay here till 10. I don't want to be here. It's Friday. Let's move quickly. Why do you think nations rise? For change, for revolution. Why do nations rise? Because of the quality of education, because they have a good structure, improved education. Any more? Why do nations rise? Innovation, they evolve. The quality and input of their leaders. For civilization, their quality of education, systems and structures. Some people would also say that nations rise because of the resources available to them. So things like money. Nations rise because of the kind of leadership. You mentioned that. Change of mindset, systems and structures. The education systems keep evolving. Okay, thank you. Nations rise because enough people begin to think differently. You can have good structures, but if you don't have people who start to think differently, then there's a problem. Now, who teaches people how to think? Who teaches people how to think? Who teaches people? Whose role is it to teach people how to think? Whose role is it to teach people how to think? Remember, I said something. Nations rise because enough people begin to think differently. That's how nations rise. That's how nations rise. So who teaches these people how to think? Teachers. The teacher. Can you see why I said that teaching is an infrastructure? Teaching is actually a national infrastructure. Teaching is a national infrastructure. That is why every civilization is simply yesterday's classrooms made visible. Can you see how important you are? Teaching is national infrastructure. And the truth is this. Every nation would eventually reproduce the quality of its teachers. So what kind of teachers do we have? Every nation will reproduce the quality of its teachers. Every nation, what kind of teacher are you? What kind of school owner are you? What kind of parent are you? And I'm calling all stakeholders involved in educating children and students, not just children, even up to tertiary level. What kind of educator are you? Now, let me show you what the operating system actually contains. Because I've put it here. Teachers need a new operating system. Teachers need a new operating system. Many people focus so much on skills, but if you don't have this new operating system, no new skill can fix it. Let's go straight into this. Look at this operating system. Purpose, beliefs, identity, decisions, skills, tools. Many teacher trainings start here at this level. That's where we start. We focus so much on tools. Learn how to use ChatGPT. And don't get me wrong, these things are not bad. But you cannot stay here. You cannot stay here. Most trainings focus on tools. Skills, they say become a data scientist, learn Python, learn this. If you get the tools, you learn skills. Do not stop there. There's the aspect of decision. And now what needs to happen is that real change starts to happen when you become aware of your identity, when your beliefs about something starts to change, when you understand your purpose. Many of you are in teaching because you've entered it accidentally. So we have a lot of accidental teachers and no fault of yours. I know that there was a time a particular state in Nigeria used to do NYSA, and the people they posted to teach students were coppers. Whether you hadn't, you had teaching background or you did not have teaching background. And so because they couldn't get any other thing, they stopped there. And they're still just teaching with no identity, no understanding, no belief system, no purpose. So yes, I'm not saying that your tools don't matter. I'm not saying skills don't matter, but I want you to start to move from all these tools and skills to move to a higher level, identity. Now, let me tell you something, why teacher training, especially in Africa, fails to keep up with what is happening in the world. See, I want you to look at my screen, the economics of knowledge. Let's understand what this means. Are you still following me? Are you still following? Let me tell you something short. For a long time, as long as we know, centuries, education was built on one assumption. And that assumption is that knowledge was scarce. So if you wanted knowledge, you went to the person who maybe possessed it or had that knowledge. And you find that the teacher is standing in front of the room because the teacher held what everyone else lacked. But things have changed. We're in a completely new season. Knowledge is no longer scarce. Knowledge is everywhere. Knowledge is searchable. You go to Google, you get it. You go to ChatGPT, you get it. Knowledge is conversational. You can ask, prompting, you ask questions, you get your results, which means that the value of teaching can never remain the same. Are you understanding? The value of teaching, you've been teaching with PNOKK physics. The value of teaching has changed. I know of an 8-year-old. She was given a task with her lesson teacher in front of her. And before they could turn their eyes, what are you doing? She had come up with the answer. What did this 8-year-old do? She had gone to Google to ask the question. The value of teaching should never remain the same because, there's knowledge is everywhere now. Knowledge is no longer scarce. So your understanding of teaching and the role you play must change. See, when abundance replaces scarcity, values migrate. I'll say that again. When abundance replaces scarcity, value migrates. And that's why we find that knowledge is free. But one thing that is not free, judgment. Judgment is very expensive. Your role as a teacher now is no longer to just say, oh, I've taught this subject, I've completed the syllabus, the students have finished copying the notes. No, things have changed. Judgment is expensive. If you're not building in judgment into your learners today, there's a problem. And judgment has changed the value of teaching forever. Judgment has changed the value of teaching forever. There was a time, and even till now, schools are still selling access to knowledge. Knowledge is still abundant. So the teachers who are still selling knowledge will compete with free because it's there. Calculate area of a triangle. Is it pi r squared? Perimeter of a triangle. I think which one is which? I don't even know. I don't remember all those things. 2 pi r squared. Knowledge is everywhere. Knowledge is abundant. If abundance replaces scarcity, value migrates. So as a teacher, if you are still selling knowledge, you are competing with free, what is already available there. If you're a teacher, a school owner, and you start to say, how do I design judgment into my teaching? You will become priceless. Mark my words. Teachers who design judgment will become priceless. Teachers who design judgment. So I want you to start thinking, how do I design judgment in what, even as I teach? Teachers who design judgment will become priceless. Okay, so I want to show you the 3 shifts, 3 specific ones. There are a lot of them, but I felt like these are the core ones you need to know. And as we go on, beyond today, as you stick with us, you will learn some more things. Okay, now look at this. There are 3 new operating principles when it comes to teaching. You must move from delivering lessons to designing human systems. The second thing is that you must move from seeing teaching as employment to seeing teaching as educational influence. The third thing is that you must move from human capacity to human amplification. Did you get that? Did you get that? You must move from delivering lessons to designing human systems. The charts from this end are quite slow. So I'm trying to look at YouTube and see what's happening and turn back here. You must move from seeing teaching as employment to seeing teaching as educational influence. And the third is that you must move from seeing teaching as human capacity to seeing it as human amplification.
How do I screenshot this thing? from delivering lessons to
Are you still following? Let's look at the first shift. But before we look at what shift one will look like, I want us to see what is disappearing. What is disappearing? Now, the teaching profession is disappearing. And teachers are not disappearing, but because teaching is being redefined. Can you see yourself in that number? Can you see yourself as part of that redefinition? The teaching profession is disappearing. Teaching is being redefined. It's not business as usual. And I'm not saying that teaching is dying. Please don't misquote me. Teaching is being redefined. Let me show you what that redefinition looks like. So, for instance, those who deliver lessons, you plan what you would say, you will cover the content, you move to the next topic, you have your students who were present. But if you move from delivering a lesson to designing a human system, you don't just plan a lesson plan anymore. You plan what must change in the person. You must plan what must change in the person you are teaching. Teaching is now an experience. So you must build an experience that creates the change for your learners. Let me explain it, simply. When you are looking at a person, see what I said to you this evening. Some of you here are teachers. Some people are playing dual roles or even more than two roles. So you're a teacher, you're also a parent. Some of you may be school owners. So you need to understand that the student you are teaching will become may one day become a parent, may become someone's colleague, may become a member of a community, and is part of a nation, may lead a nation. So that is how you plan your lessons, not based on what do I have to cover, but on who that person must become. I didn't say will, must. Some of the problems we're seeing in Africa now is because we only thought to pass the exam. We did not teach, we did not plan our lessons around the totality of a human being. Do you understand? So I'm not trying to say that if you're just planning your lessons, you're doing anything wrong, but you must understand that excellent teachers will have to move in the direction of designing human systems. And please, this is not an indictment on the past. Okay? Many things you would hear here, you are going to unlearn, you're going to relearn, and you're going to be hearing them for the first time. Okay? One thing I want to say to you is that when a teacher makes the shift from just designing lessons to designing human systems, something remarkable happens. If you're a parent, don't just parent, don't just be so excited to have a child that you don't, in your parenting, you're not even thinking about the totality of that child, what that person can become. That child will not be with you forever. That child will one day become a parent. That child will one day become someone's colleague. That child will one day become will hold position. Think about that. Think about building that into your parenting. Are we following? Now, a few things. I know that you've heard this, teachers are very important and things like that. Very good. But I want you to think of the kind of impact you make. I want you to think you have a student, you have the opportunity to shape that person, that student's parenting, community behavior, how the person, behaves in the economy and even the economic influence, how the person behaves in the nation, how history remembers that person. One teacher. I'm not here to tell you that you are so important, you're inspirational. No. I'm here to tell you deep truth. You can do all of these things. And when I say the prayer, if you've never heard May posterity judge you kindly, not just because a child or a learner passed through your classroom, but because you intentionally saw that there were other things outside of just teaching maths and English that you had to, imbibe in that child or in that learner. Okay, now I want us to look at something. There are a few things that AI can answer well, because I've just seen somebody who asked about judgment. A few things. So, what? What is photosynthesis? I like photosynthesis a lot. AI can answer that one well. How? How does it happen? AI can answer this well. Why does it happen? AI is still improving. If you don't know, my background is in semantic AI. So I have a background in AI and I can tell you some of the things that are happening. But you see things like what if? This is where humans begin. What if? What if? What now? What now determines civilizations? Teaching has moved. What if, where you start to design for humans? What now, when you start to determine the civilization that must happen? Okay? I'm not trying to say AI can't ask why. No, no, no. So don't think, I'm very, very conscious of my words and so that you don't misinterpret it. But there are a few things that you have to do. Teaching cannot be like you did before. Okay? Okay, so I want to tell you a few things before we go further. I want to tell you a few things before we go further. Come closer. Are you still with me? Come closer. Are you still following? Are you still following? Are you still following? I'm not seeing comments, so I don't know. Should I move? Should I retreat? Should I pursue? You're still following. Okay. Yes? Okay. Now, I told you a story in the group. Let me tell that story again because it's one of the most expensive lessons I've ever learned. And I didn't learn that lesson, during my uni days. Okay? I didn't learn that lesson during my uni days. I learned it in my primary six. I've told this story and I'll continue to tell it. And it was the story of being denied the opportunity to do the cowbell maths competition because a teacher had already given the people he wanted or the people who were going for his private lesson that opportunity to do it. He had given them the questions ahead of time. Okay. But one thing, so let me tell the story well for those who have never come across that story. When I was in primary six, I had, the opportunity to do the maths competition. So they picked all of us who were really good in maths from our different classes. And I was one of those picked. So we had like what they call screening tests. We did the first screening test. I got 100. For those who have heard it, you may be tired, but I'll continue to tell this story. The second test, I got 100 again. The third test, this was screening exam for cowbell maths competition. I don't know if they still do it now, but yes, there was cowbell and then there was Jimmy Musa. I did the fourth one, I got 100. The fifth one, I got 98. And I was so disappointed because only 5 people were chosen for the cowbell maths competition exam. Now, because I got 98, I was disqualified, and all the other people, I was the sixth person. The other five got 100. All the other five, I didn't even know, used to attend that teacher, the teacher who was in charge of doing the maths competition screening, and he was our maths teacher. They used to attend his private lesson, but I didn't go for any private lesson. I was taught by my mom. So as we were walking back from the library where we did the screening test, this teacher, I started hearing my my classmates saying, ah, all the questions in this thing, they were the same ones Uncle brought out for us. So the five screening tests that Uncle, that math teacher, had given it to all the, his private lesson students. And so they knew the questions before time. So from the first to the fifth one, they knew. And just out of curiosity, I said to my classmate, please, can I see your lesson notes? Because we were going through their notes. And I saw that all the screening tests were the exact same thing. So from one to five, the same thing. Nothing changed. He didn't even change the questions. He didn't even change the figures. The same thing he taught them in lesson was the same thing he brought to the screening exam. So it meant that if you didn't go for his lesson, you were disqualified even before anything. Okay. Anyway, it wasn't because I didn't go for the competition. That story is a long story, but I've cut it short. It was what really happened to me at that time was that I saw how a teacher can either expand a child's future or reduce it. So he had the final say. Do you see? A teacher can advance, expand, blow up a child's future, or that teacher can reduce it. And so that's why I say that we have to be careful how we mark the minds of our learners, what we do to them that marks their minds. No child, no student should ever recover from an educator. I don't know what practice you may be engaged in, what you're doing to reduce students or learners because you're in that capacity. Please go and rethink this night. No learner should ever have to recover from you. No learner should ever have to recover from you. Like, make that commitment to yourself this night. Imagine if, just imagine how that could have affected me. Another story even happened when I was in uni, my calculus 101. I did the exam or the test. I did the first test and I got 100. And when the scripts were shared, the man called, he held onto my script and said, in all my years of teaching calculus, I can never forget him. No student has gotten 100. How can you get 100? Anyway, he put the 100 on my this thing and then put -1. He said that that 1 mark is for me. You see, a lot of things that we consciously and unconsciously do that can completely distort a child's worldview. Make that promise to yourself that no learner, whether beginning from today, will have to recover from you. No learner. Okay, that's the end of the story. Now, I want to show you something very terrifying. I want to show you something very terrifying. How many of your teachers can you name? How many of them? Can you name all your teachers from when you started school? Maybe you started school at age 2 or 3. Can you name all your teachers? How many of you can name all your teachers? Let me know. How many of you can name all your teachers? How many of you can name all your teachers? Every teacher that started teaching you from nursery or kindergarten, from when you started school, Sha? No, you cannot. How many? Give it to me. You remember? Good. Not all of them, but I remember the experiences. I can't to chai. Not all, but most of them. Come on. How many of you can remember all your teachers? I think I still can, to an extent. I can remember most of them, not all. You can still remember their names from when you were at school. What makes you remember them? You can remember those who impacted you. Okay. How many of you can remember one teacher who changed your life? Just one. One teacher who changed your life. You can state by state, not all their names. You barely can. How many of you remember one teacher who changed your lives or changed your life? You can't. You can remember. Okay. Um, so what makes you remember them? What makes you remember the ones that you remember? What makes you remember the ones that you can remember? Your mathematics teacher in JS2, a teacher who changed your life. Bukis Koboba. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name properly. Mr. Olani, your English teacher. What did he do? What did he do? What did he do? Tell me one teacher that changed your life. What did he do? He impacted you greatly and he was more like a big brother. You can't remember all, only those that really. I want to know what's that thing that that teacher did? That teacher that impacted you, what did they do? What did they do? The impact they made on your early academic journey. Only one. What did she do? You're not telling me. You're just telling me the impact. What is that thing that they did? He made you love mathematics. Okay, what else? What else? He didn't allow you give up on yourself. Good. She made you believe in yourself, even when your mother said, and yeah. Mm. He gave you assignment question to solve in accounting. Can you see there's a common theme? She saw the potential in me. She saw the poet and novelist in me and encouraged me not to falter. Can you see? No one is saying, for instance, this person explained photosynthesis, again, my favorite example, brilliantly. They're not saying that. You remember the teacher, you may not necessarily remember the lesson. Okay? So, this is actually what education is. You may not remember the lesson, but you remember the teacher, those that gave you hope when other people lost hope in you. He made you read English language. Okay? So, let's talk about the profession AI will never be able to compete with. Are you still following? Let's look at shift two now. Let's look at shift two. We're going quickly and we're going somewhere. We have 30 more minutes and we're out of here. Now, I want to start this shift two with a question many people have not been asked. You've never been asked this question. Look at my screen. If your school closed tomorrow, would education notice? If your school closed tomorrow, would education notice? Would your community notice? Would Nigeria or Ghana, wherever you're tuning in from, would they notice? If your school closed tomorrow, if your school closed tomorrow, would education, Ministry of Education, TRCN, would they know? Would your community notice? And please, 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 I'm very, very conscious, especially because we're also on YouTube. This is not an attack on your significance. This is not an attack on your self-esteem. Okay? You know we speak the truth here. Okay? Now, my question is this: how significant are you? How significant are you? Does your impact extend beyond your immediate school environment? And these particular questions I've put here, they are not about your school. These are questions about you and questions for you. Influence is the destination of shift two. That's what I really want to establish. Influence is the destination of shift two. Now, whose thinking changes because you exist? Whose thinking changes because you exist? You don't have to answer. Who's thinking? If you've just been going to school to teach, get your students to copy their notes, get your students to finish the syllabus, are you thinking about their thinking changing because you are that teacher for them? One thing I want you to know is that employment is no longer the operating metric for education. Influence is. And I remember at the beginning of this class, someone says, I want to be global, I want them to be global, know how to be global. Global relevance is good, don't get me wrong, okay? But global is not the actual destination. Being global is not the actual destination. Influence is. So I need you to start thinking about how you will move from employment to educational influence. How you're going to move from employment to educational influence. Let me tell you a few things. Employment will say, where do you work? Influence is asking whose thinking is changing because I exist. That is influence. Whose thinking is changing? Even parents, so don't just think it's just the people you teach. Whose thinking is changing because I exist? Now, I want to show you where that influence leads. See this. One thing you need to know is that you were never given a map to find that influence. So you find out that teachers feel invisible sometimes because they believe they lack ability. It's not necessarily that you lack ability. I think you lack the visibility. You're just thinking that you're going to school and you're seeing your work as just employment. You're not seeing your work as influence. You have to move from seeing yourself as just, I am a teacher, to seeing yourself as someone who can command influence. Now, see this. I want to ask you a few things. Things like curriculum committees, there are always committees on that. Ministry meetings, international teacher network, school leader roundtables, design bodies. These people or have, there are tables that make decisions about education across, whether it's Nigeria or Ghana, all of that. Okay. But many of you are not shown how to get there. So you don't even know who built the table. You don't know who decides who sits there. You don't even know what the signals, let me say invisible signals are that institutions are looking for. You don't know these things, but you're teaching and you have the ability to shape influence. Are you understanding me? Now, one of the things I am trying to teach you is that you carry power. I'm not here to motivate you. If you've worked with me long enough, you know that I'm not into motivation. You have power. Put it in the comments. I have power. Whether you realize it or not, you have power. I want to see it in the comments. I have power. I have power. Put it in the comments. I have power. I have power. I want to see it in the comments before we move on. I have power. Come on, let's go. I have power. Good. What gets you into a room? One, credibility. Evidence that your practice produces results. Not just that, oh, I go to school, you run around, I help this children carry his bag. He wasn't well, I gave him paracetamol. No. Credibility, evidence that your practice, what you say that you are teaching these children, it can yield results. The second thing that can get you into the room, clarity. Clarity, that you can explain what you do, why it works, and what it would look like at scale. It can work for two learners and it can work for 50. It can work for 50 and it can work for 1,000. The third thing that gets you into the room is currency, that you remain connected to what is happening in education now, not what you know education to be 5 years ago. Not because you had used PNOK, in fact, you know the book back to back. Currency. You are current. Many of you, if I ask you when last you read a book, you can tell me. If I asked you what is changing in your field as a math educator, you can't tell me. What has changed globally in physics, you cannot tell me. So many of you are hopeful. You keep on hoping. I will become head teacher. I will become this. But see, hope needs a ladder. You see, hope, it needs a ladder. And when you have these three things, you show that something becomes possible even beyond your geography. When you understand these three things, the three C's, credibility, clarity, currency, what is possible to you, even your geography can never give it to you. What is possible to you, even your geography cannot give it to you. Okay, I'm going to say this. Relevance is not geography. Influence is not by geographical zone. Okay, a teacher in Kano can influence a classroom in London if she's positioned correctly. I have a client. She's a teacher. She's been teaching. The kind of influence she has, you don't see her making. And many of you think influence is social media. No, it's not about social media noise or social media gra or following. I have a teacher. I have known her for how many years? She's one of my clients, and the kind of people she is influencing, the kind of homes that she has gotten into. Say it again, I have power. Okay, let's go into the third shift. We need to go quickly. Let's go into the third shift. How you can move from human capacity to human amplification. How you can move from human capacity to human amplification. See, a few things you need to know. AI changes what we know, how we work, but teachers are responsible for determining how civilization and why civilization works. You see, teachers, you're responsible for how civilization works. Now, why am I talking about AI? AI is today's example. The deeper issue I think you need to consider when we talk about AI is leverage. And you need to understand what it really means to move from human capacity to human amplification. Let's look at a few things. Okay, so there's AI, you have communities, you have systems, there's content, you have different knowledge assets, different knowledge groups, you have networks. All of these things are amplifiers. AI is only one amplifier around these things, amongst these things. So some of you now think that AI is everything. Yes, I'm even telling you from an AI back. If you don't know how to use AI, you're going to miss out. I'm being serious. But I want you to know that AI is an amplifier of the work that you do. Is one of the things. Is one of the things. Okay? Now, let's look at teacher A. Let me call her teacher Ada and teacher B, teacher Bayo. Teacher A has 40 students. Yeah. Sorry if you see me looking this way, I'm looking into the chat so that I don't miss any question from you or any of your comments. Okay. Teacher A, Ada, she had 40 students, 40 relationships with all of them, one classroom, one salary, one reach. Teacher B, 40 students plus AI plus community plus digital assets plus global audience. Many people are telling me they want to be global, but the basics of the basics you don't know how to do. Global relevance cannot even start by, oh, I just want to leave the classroom and start doing online this thing. Some of the parents you say, oh, I want to teach you, they will throw you out before your second lesson because many of you have not even understood that there's something known as global etiquette as well for teachers. Okay? So you can have a global audience, but same teacher. You have different reach. You still have your 40 students, different impacts, different income. And this is not me saying to you, leave the classroom. One thing you need to understand about amplification is the same thing as scale. And scale is the difference between a job and a vocation with reach. Scale is the difference between a job and a vocation with reach. So that you can have the same teacher but a different approach. And I want you to ask yourself, which teacher do I want to be? Many of you will be looking at, oh, teacher B is earning different. Money is good, don't get me wrong. But please let your focus not be on earning more. Income is good, but that is not the primary argument I'm trying to make. Impact is. There's a way you will impact somebody so much that the person will be like, man, you can't be my best kept secret. I have to let other people know. So before we start talking about the tools of amplification, I want to leave you with a question. Every profession will ask you, what can technology do? You see, education, you must start to ask what must remain human. We can never take out the humanness in education. What must remain human? How many of you have felt frustrated? You want to chat, you call customer service and it's chatbot answering you. There's still a long way to go. People want humanness. People want physical touch, physical reach. So I need you to know that you must always ask yourself, what must I do that will make me remain human? What must I do? Okay, let's look at this. Where AI stops is where humans begins. Very clearly, AI will never be as good as a teacher, no matter how we try to clone ourselves. Okay? And that's not the point I'm trying to make this night. I want you to look at this screen. Information, AI wins. Knowledge, AI often wins. Analysis, AI is improving. Creativity, shared. AI and humans. Judgment, human. Ethics, human. Meaning, human. When it comes to the formation of a human being, human. Just imagine you now, you have how many children? I, can you automate everything for those children? There's still a human, no machine can form another human being through relationship. No machine can form another human being through relationship. So sometimes when you get afraid, will AI take my job or this and that? There are aspects that would become automated. But I want you to know that because you're human and you're on this call and you're learning some things, AI cannot replace your humanness. No machine, quote me anywhere, can form another human being through relationship. No machine. Okay, let's look at another layer of formation because I'm very interested in the formation of human beings. Many people may have heard about this before, okay? But maybe you've not been able to give it a name. Now, every school, every teacher teaches two curricula. The first one is the written one. So you're teaching maths, you're teaching science, you're teaching English, social studies, yeah, okay. But there's a different curriculum, the absorbed one. For instance, how adults solve conflict, how adults use power, how adults handle failure, how adults apologize, what adults value. One thing you need to know is that you're teaching character, whether you intend it or not. You're teaching character. Now, let me say something I've been wanting to say all night. Okay? What do you see on my screen? What do you see on my screen? Tell me in the comments. We're rounding up. What do you see on my screen? 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 I'm not seeing any comments coming into the chat. What do you see on my screen? What does that look like? Someone is saying I have power. What does that look like on my screen? Answer so that we can go quick. Just a dot. Good. That's just a dot. That brings me to something very interesting. A teacher architect. A dot. Those that were looking, a dot. A dot is just a tiny dot. A teacher architect. A teacher architect. Who is a teacher architect? An educator who designs human systems rather than delivers content. Many of you have been stuck delivering content. Someone who positions themselves for influence rather than employment, and who amplifies their impact beyond the boundary of one classroom. A teacher architect, like I want you to read it. An educator who designs human systems rather than delivers content, who positions themselves for influence rather than employment, and who amplifies their impact beyond the boundary of one classroom. One thing many of you have said to me, I believe I can make impact. I've come across so many teachers, and maybe you've not had a name for it, but I hope this gives a name for that thing that you have been trying to express all along. Okay? This is not a new profession. It's not the end of a profession, it's the beginning of something new. Beginning of something new. The purpose of education is not the transfer of knowledge. So if you've been thinking about this, all these things I've said this now, I'm like, oh my goodness, this thing is making sense. You're in that realm of becoming a teacher architect. The purpose of education is not the transfer of knowledge. It is the formation of people who can be trusted with knowledge. The formation of people who can be trusted with knowledge. This one sentence explains the economics of knowledge, explains the invisible curriculum, explains your role as a teacher architect, and this entire session that we've been sat in. Okay? So your understanding of what you're doing as a teacher has to change. That you're here to form people who can be trusted with the knowledge that you impart them with. Okay. Now let's look at this. Every educational philosophy eventually becomes a childhood. Every theory, every curriculum, every policy eventually lands inside one child's life. I want you to spend just 1 second to read it, because I want to show you some frameworks, and they are not academic models. They are decisions about what happens to a real learner that works into your classroom or into your school. I don't like, not like I don't like, I feel like this word or this phrase, teaching is a calling, has been overused and it's almost like it's empty. Okay, so I'm not even saying teaching is a calling. So let's look at the first framework. Let's look at the teacher value migration model. And I want you to ask yourself, where am I on this ladder? Where am I on this ladder? This teacher value migration model, where am I on this ladder? For instance, information delivery. there's knowledge translation, there's learning design, there's identity formation, there's leadership formation, there's civilization formation. Where are you on this ladder? Think. Think about your teaching profession. Why am I asking you? A map is only valuable if you can locate yourself on it. An image is only valuable if you can locate yourself on it. So where are you on this ladder? And again, this is not an indictment of where you are. You may not be able to give an answer immediately, but it's not an indictment of where you are. Okay. The point is to direct you. So a few things. If I ask you now, who teaches a child? People will say parents, teachers, society. But everyone teaches a child. Every single person teaches a child. So everyone is an educator. But one thing you need to know is that teachers educate the educators. Teachers educate the educators. That's why I say that every civilization is simply yesterday's classrooms made visible. So let's look at how this is and how far you can go. I have a formation equation. Yeah. Formation is equal to knowledge times reflection times practice times feedback times relationship. If any of these factors is zero, formation is zero. Why do I say this? Because someone can spend 20 years in a classroom and repeat the same mistake. Time alone does not produce nothing. Time alone produces nothing. So practice and feedback are what make time productive. Okay? Now, formation is designed. It's not something that you stumble into accidentally. If formation is designed, every teacher can design it. And you have the permission to design it. You have permission to design formation. Okay. Now let's look at the system this equation eventually solves. For instance, you have a teacher. Teacher teaches student. Student, has a family, community, institutions, grows into a community, can be part of an institution, is part of a nation or becomes a nation builder. One thing you need to know is that teachers are infrastructure, not just employees. Infrastructure is a framing thing. Infrastructure is framing. Employees are trained to deliver. So you need to see a difference between who you are. That's you. If you know the kind of power you carry, so your identity about yourself needs to start changing. I want you to close your eyes. Close your eye and picture the teacher who changed your life the most. I'm not asking you for your favorite teacher. I'm saying the one who altered the trajectory of your life. The one teacher who altered the trajectory of your life. Can you remember the lesson they taught you? Close your eye. I can't see you, but you should be closing your eyes. Can you remember the lesson that that teacher taught you? Can you remember? I'm looking at the chats. Can you remember the lesson that teacher taught you? The particular lesson. I didn't say that this person taught you accounting or taught you mathematics. The particular lesson that they taught you that changed you. I'm not seeing any comments coming in. Yeah, but the particular lesson, Aisha, particular lesson they taught you. Simultaneous, no, the particular class, like simultaneous equations is long now, but which one? Do you know the day, everything? Anyway, open your eyes because you're typing already. Most of you will remember the person and not the lesson. And I want to say something to you. We're not formed by information. We're formed by formation. Now, I want to show you what happens when teachers begin to operate from that level. From that level. not just an information level. Um, we opened something up in April, and we had the first, we've had 310 people, teachers like you, who said yes before we started a school for African educators. Who said yes? We didn't promise them any result, but they joined because we had real structure. And when I'm talking about structure, I'm talking about it in real levels. I'm talking about structure in real levels. Now, I can read so many testimonials to you about what happened in that school. It wasn't what we hoped for or what we were projecting, but we can show you like evidence of changes, people being formed and then going on to form other people. Okay? Anyway, on the 16th of May, we stopped the school to recognize what was already happening. And it wasn't their graduation, but a recognition of those teachers. They were already becoming something different. Things had changed, and we're having another ceremony coming up very soon. And we even have a larger classroom. So I want to invite you into what comes next. I'm not asking you to join a program this night. I came to teach you. I will still be teaching on the Telegram group. But what happens in our teacher architects finishing school is nothing like you have experienced. If you're part of the teacher architects finishing school and you're on this call or you're passing through it at the moment, please share. You can drop some comments for people to see. So I'm not asking you to join a program this night. Okay? One of the things that I'm asking you is what is your biggest challenge? What's the biggest challenge preventing you from becoming the educator you know you can be? That thing that is preventing you from becoming the educator you can be, from becoming the educator that has influence, not just that is not just global, from becoming a leader in education, from understanding AI and how to use it, from understanding what it means to be a school master, a classroom master, moving from just planning lessons and planning courses or writing notes. I want you to imagine who you can actually be. And that's where we're going to begin. Okay, we have the teacher architects finishing school. You stayed on this call for like an hour, 30 minutes now. And if any of the things I have said to you matter to you, you have questions, the Telegram group is open. You can ask your questions on how you can get into the teacher architects finishing school, specifically built for African educators. It is nothing like the teacher training programs you have ever been to. It is not a get rich quick scheme, but the way you start to see yourself will completely change. I'm going to end on this note. Every child enters this world asking one silent question: who will show me how to be human? The future belongs to teachers who can answer that question. If if you've asked yourself, like questioned yourself, you've been, why am I even stressing so much about this education thing? Come, let me show you another way. Join this school, let us show you another way. We have a third cohort starting on the 3rd of August, and this is your opportunity to join. The opportunities available to you are endless. I'm not ready. Some people say, oh, I want to just teach online and get it. No, no, no. We're talking about teachers that command influence. Teachers that command influence. Educators that command influence. If you're a school owner, please enroll your teachers. A time is coming when the kind of educators that will be shaped in these times will be different from normal teachers. So this is your opportunity to join the Teacher Architect Finishing School. But first, I want to ask you a question. Which of the three shifts hit you the most? Which of the three shifts hit you the most? Is it shift 3? Or is it shift 2? Or is it shift one? Which of the shifts hit you the most? The way of operation has changed globally. Which of the shifts hit you the most? Which of the shifts hit you the most? Which of the shifts hit you the most? And these shifts are not they're not make believe. The moment you join the school, I'm telling you, the way you see yourself, the way you position will completely change. Let me take any questions you may have that you want me to answer. And yes, we'll call it a night. Shift one, okay, shift two, shift one, shift three, human capacity to human amplification. And all these things you're saying, we're going to be going through them in the Teacher Architect Finishing School. So this is your opportunity to join. This is your opportunity to join the Teacher Architect Finishing School. This is your opportunity to join the Teacher Architect Finishing School. This is your opportunity to join the Teacher Architect Finishing School. Does anyone have any question for me that you want me to answer? Anyone? Shift three, I'm still seeing shifts coming. Anyone? One thing I want to say to you is that there's ground to be covered. We have work to do. We're starting on the 3rd of August. The next cohort starts on the 3rd of August. And you have me with you. I mean, the link is there. Ask us any questions about TAFS. It's called TAFS, Teacher Architect Finishing School. Ask me any questions you have about it in the group, and we would be here to answer it. Okay? It's been a lovely night. I've enjoyed my time with you. Yes. So have a lovely evening, and I will see if you're not on the Telegram group, you're going to be missing a lot, a lot, a lot. So please join the Telegram group, and we'll be there to answer your questions. You would also have the opportunity to interact with other people as well. Okay, have a lovely night, and we'll stop here. Good night. Authority, the old way is dead. Excellence is calling. Who answer? You said you wanted change in education, but are you ready to pay the price? No more excuses, no more complaining. Time to transform, not think twice. They gave you training, now what will you do? Will you rise up or stay the same? The children are watching, Nigeria's waiting. This is not a game, there's no going back from what you've learned today. No going back to the old tired way. Every lesson you teach
standard you set. No going back, this is your moment, don't forget. TTT has equipped you, now show them what you're made of. No going back, no going back. Rise up with unshakable love. You know the truth about excellence, you've seen what greatness can do, but knowing is not enough anymore. The question is, what will you do? Will you settle for average teaching or push beyond what you've known? The choice is yours, the time is now. Your destiny must be sown. Building with brass and drums. Some will make excuses, some will find a way, some will keep complaining, some will seize the day. Which teacher will you be when the pressure comes? Will you fall under fire or become the one who overcomes? There's no going back, you're a warrior now. No going back, you've made a sacred vow. Every child deserves your best, every day demands your all. No going back, this is your class.